Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of UOT Radio, a podcast that looks at the socially conscious issues of the Ugandans online, whether you're Uganda A, Uganda B, Uganda C, to the G. This is the show for you, and today we are talking about, guess what? Mental health. So, why mental health? I mean, this is supposed to be some really cool podcast, right? Wrong. This is way cooler. So, mental health affects each and every one of us. I mean, we're all social beings. We love to connect with each other. We love to laugh at memes. We love to follow, unfollow, block people because it's just who we are. We're socially conscious beings, and mental health, affects each and every one of us, both in a positive and negative way. Some of us don't think mental health issues are real, but I'm here to tell you it is so real. Like it is real, real. Um, so today's guest is Claire, and we're just going to let her take it away from here.
My name is Clare. I am a psychologist. I hold a master's degree in community psychology and I'm pursuing a master's degree in clinical psychology. I love young people. I am a poet as well, a published author, a leader, and my passions revolve around helping young people discover who they are, discover their talents, their abilities, and of course deal with the different mental health challenges that they face along the journey of life, discovering who they are and who they want to be, and things like that. So that's really who I am.
Oh, awesome stuff. So we are discussing mental health among Ugandans online.
Yes.
Tell us what mental health is.
Well, mental health is more or less a state of emotional well-being, psychological well-being, and social well-being. So it basically relates to how you think, how you feel, and how you act, around other people, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, and how you behave around different social settings in school, at home, at work, and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's really what mental health is.
So, what causes mental health problems? Because I have some friends, they say I'm not mentally stable. I have some issues. So, what causes these mental health problems?
Well, so mental health problems have a wide range of causes. It's a broad question because it's like asking what causes health problems, or what causes psychological problems. It's very broad because there are so many different causes. But the causes revolve around biological, social, and psychological. So there are problems, mental problems that are caused biologically. For example, say your genetic makeup could make you more susceptible to a mental illness, or if you suffer certain brain malfunction, say you're in an accident and your brain gets damaged, you may suffer. You may be more susceptible to mental illness, maybe a stroke. So those are more biological causes. But then again, there are social causes, like the kind of community you grow up in. Like there are people that grow up in communities where they are neglected, in communities where their parents don't take care of them, in communities where drug abuse and addiction and alcohol abuse is very rampant. So that social setting may make them in the future more susceptible to say drug abuse or addiction and things like that. But also, like I was saying, some of it can be, a psychological cause. Say, for example, the way you as a person think. There are people that think a certain way, and because they think that way, they are less susceptible to mental illness than people that, think another way. Say, for example, there are people whose line of thought is that for me to be a good person, or for me to consider myself good, people have to like me, And yet, there are people who think that even if people don't like me, I will still be a good person. I still can be a good person. So that line of thought, the way different people think, determines whether they are more susceptible to mental illness or not. Now, it's quite hard to categorize and say this is what causes mental illness in general, because like different there are so many things that can cause mental illness.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that while in one person, if something can cause mental illness, in another person it may not. For one person, their boyfriend breaks up with them. This was their world, their everything. They looked up to him, they depended on, and now it's like their world is crashing down. And then they're depressed, and then they're suicidal. While another person, it's like a step of growth. Like, oh, I was depending on this person and they're not here anymore. What lessons do I learn from that? Can I stop depending on, to be who I am? Can I still be who I am whether people are around me? Like that. So you realize that we can't say breaking up someone can cause mental illness, because in one person it causes it, and in another person it increases their, the mental state and their mental health abilities. So it's really very broad.
Okay, I do understand that, and I feel like you've touched base on on my next question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my next question was, how does the internet affect your mental health? Because recently I also lost someone, and I almost went into some kind of depression. And I decided to just put social media aside and focus on my mental health. So that was me. But how do you, as a professional, how do you think the internet affects our mental health?
Well, considering the internet, mostly social media right now, social media does affect young people's mental health. And one of the ways in which it affects mental health is through self-esteem and maybe depression, and it increases anxiety. What happens is someone goes to social media and they add pictures of themselves and things like that, and then they expect certain reactions from people. So they expect people to say, "Oh, this is so nice. Oh my God, I'm proud of you," and things like that. And when people say those things, they feel proud of themselves, right?
Sure.
So what happens when people don't say those things? When people don't say those things, that means they are going to feel less proud of themselves, and it's all because of social media. So it's like their self-esteem is being determined by social media. So it's like they more or less, because of that feeling that comes from social media, like, you log online, you see all these people are praising you, people love you, and it's like your self-esteem and your evaluation of who you are based on those likes. And while that is good, like for a few minutes, maybe for a few days, a few months, a time comes when people are either, you know how social media is, people jump onto the next big story, the next big artist, the next big thing. So they move on, and your evaluation of who you are, your self-esteem depended on them, and now they are not here. And it's like you don't even have self-esteem anymore. So that is one of the ways in which social media does affect young people. But also I've found that so many people go to social media because of the good feeling that comes with social media interaction, talking to old friends and things like that. When people feel down, they go to social media.
Yeah, I was saying, let's say I have tried to work on myself. I've tried to be more kind to people on social media. I try to say, hey, you have a nice dress, you have a nice smile. Oh, I love this tweet. It's so insightful. I love this Bible verse. It helps me in the morning. But I still don't feel my mental health improving. Let's say I have depression, I have anxiety, and I've tried to go to support groups, but I still don't feel like I'm the best version of myself. What steps do you think I should take, or what advice would you have for such a person?
Well, I'm going to give advice that I had a testimony of someone from, this is related to mental health, but some mental health practitioners may not advise on this because it's not empirically proven. But
I'm going to share something with you that I had a lady share about. She was clinically depressed, and she shares how she managed to get out of that depression. And she says every day when she went back home, she wrote on a paper and answered 3 questions. The 3 questions are: I'm proud of you for, I forgive you for, and I commit to you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So she would go home and say, Rachel, I am proud of you for this. I'm proud of you for waking up in the morning. Simple things that you really feel deep down in your heart you're proud of yourself for. Things that the world may not celebrate you for, but you feel that it's a milestone, it's progress, it's a step in the right direction. For someone who is clinically depressed, waking up in the morning is such a big deal. Going out of the house is such a big deal. Deciding to hang out with your family is such a big deal. If maybe you're anxious, and say you're anxious and things like that, and just for example, speaking to a crowd of 15 people is such a big deal. So she would write down every day 7 things that she's proud of herself for, and she would say, I'm proud of you for this, I'm proud of you for this, I'm proud of you for this, I'm proud of you for this. And what that teaches you is to celebrate yourself even when the world is not celebrating you, because you see, you're going to make progress in your life, you're going to take small steps towards your future, and the world may not see those steps, and you need to learn to celebrate yourself for those steps. The world is going to wait for your big win, when you're president, when you're this amazing person, but they will not celebrate the nights when you had to stay awake to do certain kinds of work, when you had to accomplish certain tasks. So this teaches you to celebrate yourself. Two, she would write down I forgive you for. So she would basically say something like, Rachel, I should say to herself, say if she was called Rachel, she would say, Rachel, I forgive you for this. I forgive you for arriving late for this particular meeting. Simple things that you feel, say you're trying to learn how to improve. Say you've been someone who has been speaking inappropriately all the time, times when you probably shouldn't say certain things and you say them, or maybe you've been the kind that gossips and you're trying to stop it, and then something slips out of your mouth, and then you say, I forgive you for. And you forgive yourself for certain things that the world will probably never forgive you for, because the world is going to keep judging you for those things, but you forgive yourself for them, and then you keep moving on. You let go of the guilt and the shame that comes with doing those particular things. And three, she would write down, I commit to you to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I'm proud of you for doing this today. I'm proud of you for waking up today. I forgive you for arriving late for that particular meeting. And I commit to you that tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up even earlier so that I'm in time for that meeting. So she forgave herself. She was proud of herself for something. She forgave herself for the things she didn't do. And she committed to herself to do better the next day. So it was so personal. She kept improving herself. Whether or not people applauded her was none of her business. What mattered is that she applauded herself. So right now, when the world is against her, it doesn't matter, because she has her. She has her spirit. She has forgiveness for herself. She has love. She's proud of herself. She celebrates herself. And I feel that when someone learns to do those things, your mental health definitely improves. Your self-esteem improves. You stop looking out and looking up to people to approve who you are. You know who you are. You develop who you really are. But also, generally speaking, I think that when someone is experiencing mental health problems, it's important, which I've mentioned before, it's important for them to speak to a mental health practitioner, because you see, it's not enough for us to say that when you have mental health problems, you probably should join a support group. A support group can help. But the thing with mental health is that it's very unique. Your mental health symptoms or the mental health problems that you're suffering at 25 or at 26 or at 20 could be caused by a childhood experience that happened when you were 5. And when a mental health practitioner walks through the journey with you, this mental health practitioner is able to say, so because this person experienced this when they were a child, this is what will work for them. So they are able to, in psychology, we have this saying that an an object is as good as the sum of its parts, more or less. The sum of its parts is greater than one part, something like that. And that's how we look at mental illness. That's how I think that people should look at mental illness. You joining a support group is a good thing, but having a mental health practitioner look at the sum of everything that is going on in your life, from the time maybe you are a child until right now, gives them a better picture of who you are and what you're suffering from, your kind of personality, and they're able to say, no, this particular thing works for people, but it may not work for this particular person because of this experience that they had when they were a child, or because of the kind of personality they have, or because of this challenge they are facing, So you're able to have solutions that are tailored to who you are, because then you're able to explore solutions that are unique to you, solutions that you didn't even know you had. You're able to come up with solutions to your own problems that you didn't even know you could find, because you're able to look at yourself as a whole with your mental health practitioner. So I think those are some of the ways that someone can improve their mental health. But very importantly, please speak to a mental health practitioner. Please speak to a mental practitioner. Stay away from self-diagnosis. In my last words, what I would want the young people out there to know concerning mental health is your mental health is very important. And yet it's a thing that so many people ignore. People wake up and go to work and they're chasing money and they're chasing certain career goals and things like that. But the only way they are going to achieve that is if they have good mental health. The only way you're going to get to who you are or who you want to be and stay there for quite a while is if you have good mental health. You can be an athlete and you can run, but if you have poor mental health, or if you have mental health problems, you're not going to be the athlete that you want to be, because there'll always be something that is holding you back. But also, before these mental health problems become severe, speak to a mental health practitioner. Seek out these services. There are so many mental health practitioners out there. While the internet gives us very good information about mental health, like I have mentioned in the earlier question, the internet does not know who you are. The internet does not know what happened last night that is making you sad. When you speak to a mental health practitioner, they're able to understand, and they're able to advise you on what to do and what not to do. So I think that when young people out there seek out mental health practitioners and information on mental health, they are better able to learn how to mitigate mental health problems. But generally, I also want to send a message to the mental health practitioners out there to get out of the box. Young people out there, Ugandans, need mental health information. So while it's good for us to sit in our practices, sit in the hospital, and yes, I know that is good. There are people that need our help out there, but there are people that have not reached that stage. There are people that have not been um, diagnosed with mental illness yet, but they're having mental health challenges. And is there a way we can prevent those mental health challenges from becoming severe mental illness, or severe mental health problems? If we can, then let's do it. That is how we are going to stop the mental health challenges that young people are having. Share information on mental health. If you are a psychologist, a psychiatrist, you have a mental health issue that you're dealing with, share it on your social media platform. Say, I'm dealing with this client, depending, of course, you have to make sure that you're very confidential with the client's information, but share and say, I'm speaking with this client and this is the challenge they're having, and these are some of the solutions we have been able to come up with. If you think you're experiencing these challenges, one, I am a psychologist and I'm here for you. You can reach out to me. Two, this is how you can mitigate the problem if you cannot be able to reach a psychologist. Like, let's get this information out there. Let's get the information on mental health and how to mitigate it, and the right information on mental health problems to the Ugandans, to the young people. And speaking about social media, I think that young people need to control the amount of time they spend on social media. I've done research on social media, self-esteem, and depression among young people in Uganda, and we've found that so many young people, one, spend so much time on social media, but the more amount of time people spend on social media is correlated with lower self-esteem and higher scores on depression. So people that spend much, much more time on social media are likely to be more depressed and likely to have more low self-esteem, or likely to have low self-esteem. So if you can control the amount of time you spend on social media, get out there, have face-to-face conversations with people. Don't let the validation of who you are depend on what people say on social media. People will jump onto the next celebrity, people will jump onto the next big thing, but who you are will stand, dependent on whether they are there or not. So if you would like to speak to a mental health practitioner, you can just reach out to me on my Facebook page, Clare A Muga, on Twitter at Clare A Muga, and on Instagram at Clare A Muga. But you can also reach out to me on my website, www.clareamuga.com, or you can write to me at clareamuga@gmail.com. I'll be happy to hear from you. I'll be happy to help you with any mental health challenges that you might be facing. And thank you so much, Rachel, for having me and for hosting me on this podcast. I hope that you've learned a lot. I hope that the young people and your audience have learned a lot as well. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have all been educated, informed, and entertained with all this information about mental health. Remember to be kind to one another. Remember to reach out to your people if it's a birthday, if it's, someone just got a new dress. Remember to compliment and tell them, hey, you look good, with no ill intentions. And thank you all for tuning in. It's been your girl, Queen La Kelly, here on the UOT Radio Podcast. Thank you so much to Claire for joining us and giving us all this amazing information. If you want to reach out to her, she is Clare A Muga. You can also send me a DM on Twitter. If you want to say hi, you love the show. If you want to reach out to her, that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next time for more information that will rock your world.